Hello and welcome. Good evening. I'm Anthony Murphy. Welcome to the Mythical Ireland Library for our weekly celebration of Irish myths. This evening we are back to talking about trees again. This is episode 122. Tonight's topic is the Rowan tree, otherwise known as the Quicken tree. Hope you're all keeping safe and well. I want to apologise about the confusion. Our clocks went back by an hour over the weekend. Hence, the time difference has changed. I did put this in the posts on social media today, but understandably, still some people were confused about it. And one or two people arrived an hour early and were wondering what the story was. Had something happened? Well, it's just merely the fact that this year our clock changed. Being on the last Sunday morning of the year, at 2 a.m. on Sunday morning, our clocks went back by an hour. So we gained an hour, which has led to all sorts of funny shenanigans on social media. People saying in lockdown, what difference does it make? We get to spend an extra hour in the house. Yippee. Anyway, yes, to the subject in hand. Live Irish Myths. I'm very glad that you can join us, and I hope that you enjoyed our impromptu live streams from Douth yesterday. I know I thoroughly enjoyed myself, and I hope you did too. A lot of commentary on YouTube. Deborah Williams is there. Hello, Deborah. Daisy Peters is in the house. Managed to change my break at work. I'm really glad to participate. Brilliant stuff, Daisy. The full Irish GK, Toronto. Good evening, all. Another fine day in the sod. I was so close to see Finn today. I could almost feel its breath. I pray everyone is safe and well. From Tala. Yeah, me too. Hope everybody's keeping safe and well. Who else is there? Archaeoastronomy Database. So great to see you all after missing last week. Welcome back. No problem. Mandy McCurl says hello, everyone, and hope you're all keeping well. Blowing a gale on a wild, wet night here. Brr. Yes, it sounds like it's a night for the indoors. Who else? Guitarcheology. One of the side effects I'm concerned about, aside from the virus itself, is my area is reflecting a lot more crime. Our murder count went over last year's record 2 months ago and keeps climbing. Oh dear. Oh, hope that doesn't happen everywhere else. Office Care 36, the Woodsies in Monaster Boyce. Evening, Anto. Hope you're all well. You'll never beat the Irish. Carl Deegan, except for if you're playing soccer or rugby. And then especially soccer, you'll beat them, no problem. Carl Deegan says, yes, Mandy, my all-time favourite. Patricia Healy-Sullivan is watching from Vermont, where the rain is streaming down. Sandrine Brady is in the house as well. Bonsoir, Sandrine. And on Facebook, a lot of honey, I'm home, says Elaine Tintlingenfelter. Hello, Elaine. Jules Cousins is in the house. Falcha. Charlie Grover says, good evening, sir. Good evening, sir. Joe Butler. Hello to good to see you, Mr. Murphy. It's a great pleasure, Joe. Thank you for joining us. Rowan Grove is saying hello from cold Colorado. It's not that warm here at the moment, I can tell you. But anyway, it's not cold enough for snow, so we're happy. Kaylee During says, good evening, Anthony. Hope you're well. Moving the clock back an hour almost messes with my rhythm. Yes, indeed. I know. It doesn't really make sense either because we lose an hour of light in the evening time. Laura O'Reilly says hello, but we gain one in the morning time. Falcha Laura. Barbara Barney says hi, Anthony, and hi, everyone. Jigwich Barney. Laura Puente says good afternoon. We got our first snow today in Chicago. Wow. Chicago is white this afternoon. Janet Moran says hello, Anthony and the Tua. Falcha Janet. Good to see you. Ralph Waldron says good evening from Ath League. Hello, Ralph. Conasatatu. Tarini Pendleton says Banachty. All August Ort Fain. Tarini Rowan says our clocks go back this coming weekend, so things will even up again. Excellent. Yes, so the times will revert. Margaret Kiernan says good evening, everyone. Hello, Falcha Margaret. Barb Jordan says hi, everyone. Jigwich Barb. Alex Casterton is there. Says hello there, Anthony and Tua. Alex here. Good evening. Hail the blessed Rowan. Falcha indeed. Kathy May Deo says, hey, I'm glad everything is okay, Mr. Anthony. Hope all are safe and well. I get to watch the full episode today, being on a vacation day. Glad to be with a full episode with the Tua and Mr. Anthony. And the Rowan tree is my zodiac tree. Yeah, brilliant stuff. Yes, it's also a bank holiday here in Ireland, so most places, not that most places aren't shut anyway with the pandemic, but all the banks are shut. Adina Spark says, good evening, afternoon, Anthony, on the Tua. Snowing here in New Mexico. So there you go. A lot of snow stateside, folks. Keep it on that side of the ocean. Thank you. Michelle Rhodes says, hello, Anthony, from Sheffield. Hello, Michelle. Francis Smith, good old GMT. Yes, indeed. We once had Irish. Was it Irish Standard Time? What was it called? Dublin Standard Time? It was half an hour after GMT, but they abandoned that. Nancy Sterling says, good evening, Anthony. Hello, Nancy Fulcher. Judy McQueen is in the house. Hello, Judy. Merritt Braun Schmidt says, good evening. Hello, Merritt Fulcher. Joseph Keane says, good evening. Everyone from Boston, the dark days are coming. In our case, the dark days are already here. Francis Smith, good evening from Slane. Yes, indeed, Francis. Long time no see. Hope you're keeping well. Barbara Kling. Hello, Anthony, and to a holiday from my class this week, so I can join in the live from a rainy, cold Vermont. Well, we're glad you can join us, Barbara. Peter Kierans is in the house, says, good evening, Anthony. Good evening, Peter. Yes, Peter's responsible, by the way, not to put him on the spot, but he's responsible, him, solely him, for the quality of the Mythical Ireland 2021 calendar, of which more anon in a moment. Those random walks were just mighty, Anthony, says Margaret. I'm glad you enjoyed them. I certainly did. Hi, Anthony. Loved the live stream yesterday. Many thanks. Hello to all my Tua friends, says Nick Eska Casterton. Thanks, Nick. Caitlin Moon. Hey, Rowan. It's your time to shine tonight. Yes, indeed, says the lady whose name is Moon. Always shining. The shining moon, except for when it's a new moon. Dark moon, funnily enough. We're approaching full moon. We're not too far off it now. Sharolan McFetridge says, cheers from chilly Boston. Good evening to you, Sharolan. Tom King says, good evening, Anthony and the Mighty Tua. Another week's rolled by. Hope everyone's in good form. All good here, Tom, in fine fettle. Nice to see the pictures and the videos from your forge. It's brilliant to see it. Paula Snow Queen. Okay, I have a bag of Watsits and jelly babies ready to go. And it's a terrible shame you can't share them around. Kimberly Halligan says, hi, Anthony and Tua. So glad to be able to catch the live session. We're also glad to have you in the house, Kimberly. Joanne Wolf says, greetings from Kingston, Pennsylvania. Chilly, dark day. Good evening. Well, glad to be here, and we're glad to have you here. Kristen Murray Endre. Oh, thank you, Anthony. Tough day assisting my son with remote learning. Boy, do I need this. And the humor of the Tua. Gratitude from Chicago. Hello, Kristen. Glad to help you. Jennifer Martin Erickson says, hello, Anthony, from Annapolis in Maryland. Hello, Jennifer Falche. Christine Goodlett says, great Tuesday morning here at 6 a.m. in Queensland, Australia. Hello, Christy Falche. It's lovely to see you. Good morning to you. Brady Tussey is in Arizona. Finally started cooling off there as well. Good afternoon to you. Jackie says, Fascarwa, Anthony August Atua. Inverness Alba. That's, I presume, Inverness, isn't it, Jackie? I know we probably said that before, but just have to get it right. Robert Moore says, greetings from Shippensburg, Pennsylvania. Hello, Robert. Good evening. Good afternoon to you. Neve Smith says, hello, everyone. Falch and Neve. Yvette Tillema is in Keene in New York. Rain too. Oh, keep it there. We've had enough for a while. Anne McCallum says, hello, Anthony and the Mighty Tua. Getting very chilly here in Ontario. Brilliant. No, not. But that's winter. Virginia Hawkins, hi from how do you pronounce that? Is this Encinitas, California? Lunchtime here. Yeah, it's dark here. I mean, it's pitch dark. The stars are shining. And it's the middle of the day in California. There you go. Patricia McAteer is in the house. Hello, Patricia. Always a pleasure. Brendan Byrne looking to forward to the story of the Rowan. I lost 8 large trees this summer because the goats ate the bark during the cold winter. Wow. Joseph Keane, once the sparks fly from the forge into the dark sky, we'll be all right. Yes, indeed. Good imagery there. Edina Spark says, afternoon, Rowan. And Mariana Dunn says, greetings and blessings, dear Tua and Anthony, from overcast and fall-coloured Virginia. Yes, the fall colours are coming here too. Neil Hughes, Trononoa from Coatbridge, Scotland. Mary and Neil, ready with the usual Fiam August Tay. We pronounce Rowan, not Rowan, if that makes sense. Okay, Rowan. Bernie Courtney says, good evening to everyone. Falcha, Bernie. Jennifer Martin Erickson, really looking forward to learning more about the tree for which my daughter is named. Lovely stuff, Jennifer. Rowan says single-digit F temps are not great, but the 18 inches of snow in the mountains greatly help with the bad fires up there. Oh yeah, of course, silver linings and all that. Alan Hoskins is in the house from Ballina Killaloo. Says hi all from Alan and Julie. Hello, Alan and Julie. Rex Fortenbury is in the house. Howdy all. Listening from Louisiana. Great to have you along, Rex. Ali Rogers says, good morning from Aotearoa, New Zealand. Thinking of you all in lockdown. Look after yourselves. A very good morning to you, Ali. Great to see you along. Dolmac McDermott says, hi, Anthony. August Ontua. Hello, Dolmac. Fáilte. Janet is saying, hello, Joseph, from a fellow Bostonian archaeoastronomy database is also on Facebook. Rowan Grove, this episode will be dedicated especially to you. Oh, there you go. Martin Doheny, good evening, Anthony, and all the Tua, enjoying a week of annual leave. Brilliant stuff. Gordon A. Farrell is in the house. Gordon is an artist based in Longford. Hello, Gordon. Pleasure to see you. Hope you're well. Catherine Woodruff, hello all. 1.5 inches of snow came and stayed. Snowman time. Desiree Riley, well, I'm so glad everything is okay. Some of us Americans were getting worried. Hello, Anthony and Tua. I'm so jealous of everyone with cold weather and getting ready for what will be our third hurricane this season. Really had enough this year. I can completely understand why you feel that way, Desiree. Anne Hurley says, ooh, hello to all the lovely people. Thank you, Anthony, as always. Good evening, Anne. Great to see you. Paul G. McCavill. Trinonowa Anton agus a Cardia o Glasgow, Cade Maratoshiv. Well, I am in fine fettle. Thanks for asking, Paddy. I hope you're in good form too. Cheers from snowy but sunny Denver, Colorado, says Catherine Hupp. Fáilte, Catherine. Samantha Healy. Hello and good evening, Anthony and all our fellow Tua. Fáilte, Samantha. Robin Pickman says hello from Pennsylvania, Sláinte. Barbara Murphy, another Murphy in the house. Hello all from a cold Tucson, Arizona. 90-ish yesterday, 65 today, back to 90-ish by Friday. Send a little bit of that 90-ish over the ocean to us, will you? Terry Lynn Zahariah says, hi from snowy Colorado. Just between us, it's entirely a secret, right? You can't tell anyone else this. My wife loves snow. She wishes that we had Canadian weather so that she could place snowballs all day long. Kathleen Gallagher says hello from chilly and overcast New York. Sounds very Irish, Kathleen. Good evening to you. Sunny 70s in California, says Virginia. As Celine says hello from Mexico. Good evening. Good afternoon to Mexico from Ireland. Fáilte. Excuse me. I'm in Aurora, Colorado, says Joe Butler, and wasn't it brisk at 9 degrees Fahrenheit this morning? Now it's a balmy 15. Well, when you talk about Fahrenheit, I mean, I would say 9 degrees Celsius is brisk. Ralph Waldron, good except for this lockdown. Yes, indeed. Donna Mees says, cheers from Newville, Pennsylvania, USA. Really enjoying your walkabout videos. Fascinating stuff. Glad to have you along, Donna. Good evening to you. Good afternoon. Trassa Nigilla says, good evening, Tua, from Mayo. Fáilte, Trassa. Trust, if I'm not mistaken, you're a local. You're from the Boyne Valley, aren't you? But you must be living in Mayo. Nice part of the country to be living in too. Paula Snow Queen says, I really do feel for you. I hate wind, and our wind isn't really that bad. A lot going on over there. Anne McCallum watched podcast 11 the other day. A wonderful, all-encompassing talk with Niamh Phelan with lots of beautiful photos as well. Glad you enjoyed that, Anne. Robert Moore, greatly impressed with my Rowans. Planted at not but 1.5 foot and grew another 7 feet this summer. Brilliant stuff, Robert. Paul Campbell, as our clock went back 1 hour yesterday, Sunday, Eastern time in the USA, is now currently only 4 hours behind us in Ireland until next Sunday, the 1st of November, when their clocks also go back an hour, but a week later. The more normal time difference of 5 hours will then resume next Sunday. So I'll have to put a warning on next week's notice as well. Yes. Ali Athy Thompson says, mind yourselves in lockdown. We'll do our very best, Ali. You keep yourself safe as well. Leon Connor is saying howdy from rainy Missouri, and thanks again for the advice on books. No problem, Leon. Always great to help when it comes to books. Couldn't do without your inspirational stories, especially with this lockdown. Thank you, Anthony, as always. Thanks, Anne. Very nice of you to say so. Patricia says, hello all. I'm happy I'm just in time. So catch live after returning from a 45-minute wait in the cold to vote. First snow in Chicagoland area today. Thanks, Patricia. Kim Burnham says hello from Skagway, Alaska. We have a cherished Rowan in our yard that's over 100 years old, likely planted during the gold rush. Fascinating stuff, Kim, and good morning to you. Maria David says, greetings from Vienna in Austria. Folche, Renate, lovely to see you. Joseph Keane wants to know if Janet is wrapping up. Okay. Nola Snyder, good evening on this rainy day, Massachusetts. A great day for a solitary Cailleach to commune with Rowan. Yes, indeed. Angad Kaur says, greetings from Arizona. First time joining the live stream. Looking forward to learning about the Rowan. Folja, Angad, you're very welcome along, and I'm sure members of the extended Mythflix Live Irish Myths tour will make you feel very, very welcome, as they always do, to the newcomers. Kimberly Fields Sipila says, hello, Anthony and Tour from sunny Washington. Hello, Kimberly. Folja. Sharon Murray says, hello, Anthony from Belfast. It's a lovely evening here. Yeah, it was a lovely evening here too. Lovely afternoon. A few showers, but only sort of light ones, and a few rainbows. So there you go. Antonia Moore says, hi from Dublin. Good evening to Dublin from County Louth. Helen Guinan has arrived and is in the house. Your Majesty. Genuflect, everybody. Bow, kneel, or genuflect. Just whatever you do, prostrate yourself. Trasa Nigila says, yes, I am Anthony Drogheda, born and bred. There you go. Lovely stuff. You followed the equinox line from Millmount and Slane over to Croagh Patrick. Tom Lawler is in the house from Tipperary. Hello, Tom. Good to see you. Yes, a lot of people bowing. Marie Cronin says, Fáilte dinner from Clonakilty. Hello, Marie. Lovely memories of Clonakilty with the youth band over the last few years. Sadly, we didn't get to go this year. Not sure if we'll be going next year either, the way things are going, but we'll keep our fingers crossed. Did I miss anyone else on YouTube? Jackie Kelly is in the house. Hello, Jackie. Carl Deegan, not sure if we mentioned you already, but hello. John Main is in the house also in San Francisco. Hello, John. Good evening. Miss Marie says, good evening from Chile, beautiful Ohio. Hello, Miss Marie. Fáilte. Susan Moorish says she loves Rowan Tree, so really looking forward to tonight's stream. Good stuff. No Hot Pot Betty says, McBride, British Columbia, Canada, a balmy -6 Celsius, blowing fluffy snow, winter announcing its arrival. Looking forward to today's talk. Paul McHugh's in the house. Hi, Anthony. Thanks for all the videos. I'm loving them. My street here in Port Glenone, County Antrim, is called Gortahiran Crescent, the Field of the Rowan. Brilliant stuff. Delighted to hear that. That's great. Robert Arbuckle is here. Been a while since I tuned in. Always a pleasure to be in this space with you all, as it is our pleasure to have you along, Robert. So what are we on? Let's call it let's call it around 18 minutes. So as usual, before we kick off with the reading, Burr Whelan is in the house. Hello, Burr. A few announcements. Well, the first one is to say thanks to Mabel Amber on Pixabay for the beautiful photograph which formed the backdrop for today's graphic. I did not have my own picture of a Rowan tree, resplendent with lovely berries as well. Oh, yes. So we mentioned Peter Kieran's a moment ago. Give me one moment till I just go to the opposite side of the library. Peter is the one of the managers at the local printing plant here in Drogheda, Anglo Printers, which is printing the Mythical Ireland calendar. So glad to see you in the house, Peter, while I make a show of you. All good, of course. So I just wanted to very briefly show you a couple of the proofs of the 2021 Mythical Ireland calendar. So there you go. There's the front of it. It'll be back to front for some of you, and hopefully I can't mirror the image, unfortunately, on the selfie, but this very dramatic aerial photograph of Sheedinbroga, Newgrange, on a misty winter's morning. Hope you like that. I will show you one or two more. I don't want to kind of spoil. You've probably already seen the July picture. I think I put that up several times, and that is a photo of Comet Neowise over the great monument of Newgrange. Pictured there. Sorry, there's a fold in that's reflecting light. I do apologize. Some of these have been mishandled or manhandled. That's the July page, and I'll show you one more. I don't want to spoil the surprise then when you actually get the calendar. Let me just have a look to see which one will I show. Okay, September for the equinox, featuring the equinox stone inside Cairn T at Lough Crew. A photo that I took a few years ago that I took lots of time and effort to take. And I'm very glad I did, because that is inaccessible now. You cannot get access to Cairn T anymore. So that'll be worth having in your collection. Anyway, that is they are the proofs, the printed proofs of the calendar. The calendar I am hoping to have in my hands either early next week, Monday or Tuesday of next week. Those of you who have pre-ordered it, and those of you who continue to pre-order it until such time as I have them in my hands, will be entered into a free draw for a copy of the book, The Field Names of Meath, which we've... the Field Names of County Meath, this book here. Everybody who pre-orders will be entered into a draw, a free draw for the Field Names of County Meath. A beautiful, comprehensive book. Again, by the way, am I right about this? Hang on, better not say it unless I'm right about it. Also printed by Anglo printers in Drogheda. Same people who printed this are printing the calendar. So there you go. What a great recommendation. The only place that you can to buy the calendar anywhere on the internet is on the Mythical Ireland website. So I will paste in the address where you can order the calendar as a comment beneath the video here on YouTube and also on Facebook. So get your pre-order in if you're interested in entering the draw for the book. Get your pre-order in before the calendars arrive into my hands, which will hopefully be in a week's time. And then I'll be getting them all posted out to you, all those who have pre-ordered. Thank you very much for pre-ordering. So that should be available now as a link. I should also mention Island of the Setting Sun 2020. The copies that I have here are signed by both myself and Richard Moore. I still have possibly about 20 copies here, but I should tell you that with the lockdown, I'm not guaranteed to be able to get more copies until the lockdown is over in 6 weeks' time. And also, another thing that I possibly won't be able to do is to get myself and Richard to sign them. So at the moment, while I just reach up here, at the moment, every copy that is sent out is signed by both authors beneath the names on the title page. So if you want your copy signed by both authors, that's the 2020 edition. I would advise you to do that sooner rather than later. And again, I'll paste that as a comment on the videos here on YouTube and on Facebook. Apologies for all the announcements. For the patrons, in the past 24 hours, a new video about the aerial archaeology of Douth has been shared, and coming soon, probably tomorrow, is a video about the Lough Crew cairns. If you want to become a patron, sign up at patreon.com/Mythical Ireland. You are rewarded, of course, for your support, and those rewards take different forms: early access to photos, podcasts, blog posts, videos, etc. But also there is now available at some levels Mythical Ireland merchandise. Some of the patrons have received their Mythical Ireland mugs. So there you go. Somebody's asking, any chance of a digital version? No. Is the quick answer, Jackie. Screensaver? No. It's not something that I'd planned to do. The printed version is the only one that I had planned for. To be honest, I didn't think there'd be demand for a digital version, but I remain to be convinced. Some of my books are available as digital versions on Kindle, and they don't sell. They don't sell very well, so it's not really worth the effort. Mythical Ireland community, I should mention that we have passed the 9,000 members level. Just on the off chance that you're either browsing on YouTube and you don't know about it, I'll paste in the link. Or if you're browsing on the main, you'll be watching the video on Facebook on the main Mythical Ireland page, but there's a separate community page. And the community is growing, and it is a vibrant community full of wonderful people. A lot of talented artists and writers and poets, etc., on there sharing their work. So I think you might enjoy it. Anyway, that's enough of the announcements. We are heading to 26 minutes, and it's high time that I get on and talked about trees, which is what we really wanted to do, isn't it? Ah, yes. So I'm going to propose that we start off tonight with a reading of a story, rather than just plainly talking about the tree. I want to read. It's a brief spell, as it were, from the Finn cycle, or the Finn and the Fianna cycle of Irish myths. And if you're interested in following, this is from Lady Gregory's Complete Irish Mythology, which I know a lot of you have copies of. I will be reading from Gods and Fighting Men, and this is chapter 5, the House of the Quicken Trees, because the Rowan tree apparently is also known as the Quicken tree. And some of you will know more about this than I. I know that some of you are into silviculture and horticulture. Some of you are very, very learned in terms of trees and plants and fruits and berries and when to pick them and what is edible and what's not. And we learned that, didn't we? Was that last week with the oak tree? Somebody asked if acorns were edible, and I didn't know offhand, and other people did, yes, that you have to grind them down into a powder and you have to do certain things with them, but you can actually, I don't think it's a matter of just shoving them in your mouth and chewing on them, you know. Also, mountain ash, says Neil Hughes. Thank you, Neil. So we're starting tonight with the House of the Quicken Trees. And it is often the Fianna who would have been badly off without the help of Diarmuid. It was he came to their help the time Meodach, the son of the king of Lochlan, brought them into the enchanted house of the Quicken Trees. It was by treachery he brought them in, giving himself out to be a poet and making poems for Finn to make out the meaning of. A verse he made about the great army that he saw riding over the plains to victory and robbing all before it, and the riders of it having no horses but plants and branches. I understand that, said Finn. It was an army of bees you saw that was gathering riches from the flowers as it went. Mark Gordon is in snowy Iowa. Seems to be a big theme stateside. Quite a few of you having snow. So keep warm and most of all, keep safe. And another verse Meodach made was about a woman in Ireland that was swifter than the swiftest horse. I know that, said Finn. That woman is the River Boyne. That's the Boyne. And if she goes slow herself, she is swifter in the end than the swiftest horse, for her going never stops. And other verses he made about Angus's house at Brunaboyne, but Finn made them all out. So Rowan Grove, coincidentally, R-O-W-E-N, the berries of the Rowan are not so good to eat straight up, but they make good jelly and are excellent as a flavouring in mead. Thank you, Rowan. Vicky Wallace-Southall is in the house, says, hello, my lovely friends. Hello, Vicky. And if Evan is with you and Chile, hello and good evening to them. Good afternoon, good evening from Ireland. Sally Siggins, some nice stories in the school's folklore collection about Rowan trees. Thank you, Sally. And we might provide a link to that actually, we might read one or two of those before the episode is out. Actually, put that up as a tab here on the computer screen so that I don't forget. Okie dokie. Thank you for that, Sally. And after that, he said he had a feast ready for them, and he bade them go into his house of the Quicken Trees till he would bring it. And they did that and went in. And it was a beautiful house, having walls of every colour and foreign coverings of every colour on the floor, and a fire that gave out a very pleasant smoke. And they sat down there. And after a while, Finn said, it is a wonder such a beautiful house to be here. There is a greater wonder than that, said Gull. That fire that was so pleasant when we came in is giving out now the worst stench in the world. Hello, Evan and Chile. There is a greater wonder than that, said Gloss. The walls that were of all colours are now but rough boards joined together. There is a greater wonder than that, said Fiacha. Where there were 7 high doors to the house, there is now but one little door, and it shut. Indeed, there is a more wonderful thing than that, said Conan. For we sat down on beautiful coverings, and now there is nothing between us and the bare ground, and it as cold as the snow of one night, or if one can imagine sitting on the pavement of Chicago right now where the snow is lying. And he tried to rise up, but he could not stir, or any of the rest of them, for there was enchantment there that kept them where they were. And it was the treachery of Merodach and the spells of the 3 kings of the island of the floods that had brought them into that danger. And Finn knew by his divination that their enemies were gathering to make an end of them. And he said to his people, there was no use in making complaints, but to sound the music of the Dord Fian. And some of the Fianna that were waiting for him not far off heard that sorrowful music, and came fighting against Merodach and his armies. And they fought well, but they could not stand against them. And at the last it was Diarmid, grandson of Duivne, that made an end of Merodach, that was so treacherous, and of the 3 kings of the island of the floods, and took the enchantment off the floor of the house of the Rowan trees with their blood. And when he was freeing the Fianna, Conan called out, asking him to bring him a share of the feast Merodach had made ready for his own friends, for there was a hunger on him. And when Diarmid took no heed of him, he said, if it was a comely woman was speaking to you, Diarmid, you would not refuse to listen. For if many women loved Diarmid, there were many he himself gave his love to. And it was he was often called Diarmid the Brave, or the Hardy, or the Comely, or the Hawk of Esroa. It is often he was called as well the friend and the coaxer of women. Diarmid the man. Diarmid of the women. So there you go. That is the House of the Quicken Trees from Lady Gregory's Complete Irish Mythology. So I thought it would be a good idea, I did, and to have a very quick look in my book about trees. And I forgot to mark the page, which is very embarrassing. 252. I should have remembered that. The Rowan tree is called Sorbus aucuparia. This broadly conical deciduous tree is native to the whole of Asia and Europe. Sandra Boothroyd says, evening, late. Don't worry, Sandra. Better late than never. Welcome along. In mountainous regions of Northern Europe, it can grow up to 1,000 meters or 3,280 feet tall. No, I mean above sea level. I bet you thought I was going to... Never mind, that was terrible. Hence, its other name, mountain ash. Thank you, Neil. It is a particularly hardy tree and can withstand exposure better than most members of the Sorbus genus. Its berries are an important food source for birds. In some regions of Europe, a rowan tree planted outside the house is considered protection against evil spirits. The leaves have a fresh green upper surface and a blue-green underside. In autumn, they turn yellow or red before falling. The fruit is borne towards the end of summer on stalks up to 2 centimeters or 3/4 of an inch long and remains on the tree until eaten by birds. There you go. Alwyn Roy Badziak is in the house. Good evening, Alwyn. How are you? And so there is a photo of rowan leaves and the rowan berries. So there you go. That's my Dorling Kindersley guide to trees, by the way. But of course, when it comes to trees, there is nobody really can be beaten in terms of traditions and mythology and old stories pertaining to trees. There is hardly anybody better than our friend Niall McCutcher and his book, Irish Trees, Myths, Legends and folklore. Conscious always as I am of fair use and not breaching copyright, I will read a short section of it. And I would hope that in doing so, that I would encourage you all to go and acquire your own copy of this, wonderful, wonderful book. There are many examples. Sorry, I should go back a paragraph. The Rowan or mountain ash has always been considered a tree of formidable magic. Formidable magical and protective powers due to its bright flame red berries. An alternative name, Quicken, refers to its quickening or life-giving powers, while the Irish name Caorthan, Caorthann, Caorthan, derives from the word care, Caor, which means both a berry and a blazing flame. Kimberly Halligan says it's a great book. It sure is. Folk beliefs and customs. There are many examples of the protective powers of Rowan against evil forces. According to A.T. Lucas, the Rowan was hung in the house to prevent fire charming, used to keep the dead from rising, and tied on a hound's collar to increase its speed. Above all, it was used to protect milk and its products from supernatural harm, was kept in the byre to safeguard the cows, and put in the pail and around the churn to ensure that the profit in the milk was not stolen. In Scotland, Rowan was placed over the lintels of the barn, stable, and other buildings to keep away witchcraft. And a twig of Rowan, made into a circlet, was placed beneath the milk boyns to keep the milk from being spirited away. The berries were used to safeguard animals and guard against mishap. A poem about a black mare, which was a kicking and a running, recommends a handful of red rowan berries to safeguard her. In the Isle of Man, crosses of rowan were tied to the tails of cattle, and in Yorkshire, whipstocks were made of rowan. In Scotland, it was also believed that rowan wood should be used for the cross beams of the chimney and for various implements, including the distaff, the churn staff, the peg of the cow shackle, and the pin of the plough or water mill. Highland women wore necklaces of rowan berries as a charm. Just making sure that the comments are still coming in. I see them on the phone still. A rowan tree was also commonly planted at the door of the homestead to keep witches away. So strong was this particular custom that it was carried on in New Zealand by Scottish settlers. In Ireland, it was believed that rowan in the house prevented fire. In Scotland, flail rods were also made of mountain ash to keep the witches from threshing the corn and carrying away the grain. In Wales, rowan was considered to give protection against demons, and rowan trees are often found planted in Welsh churchyards. Snapper Earl is in the house. Fáilte Snapper, welcome along. In Scotland, a coffin made of rowan or a coffin bier carried on spokes of rowan was treated with special reverence. In Ireland, a walking stick of rowan offered good protection against the fairies, and one tale describes how a stick of green rowan wood allows a man to enter a fairy fort safely to steal a magical drinking horn. Rowan was also placed on hats to keep away the F word. In a similar Scottish tale, a person is advised to wear a cross of rowan on his clothing to enable him to enter a F-word hill to rescue his brother. It was also believed in Scotland that a person held captive dancing in a F-word ring could be pulled to safety by holding out a pole of rowan for them to grasp onto. A Scottish charm against witchcraft recommends a tuft of rowan twigs tied up in a red thread. One Irish folktale tells of how a boat which was sinking due to a hag's curse was saved by a sprig of Rowan. Lucas speculates that all these magical uses may have come from Viking settlers, as Rowan bark shavings were used as fodder in Scandinavia, but I think he is trying too hard to find a practical origin for Rowan's magical uses. Yes, I'm using the F word because when I use the real word, what tends to happen is the feed starts to jitter and stutter. Apologies for that. It is clear from the evidence that it was the Rowan's red berries which gave it power. The fact that the Rowan was considered magical in both Ireland and Scandinavia is not evidence in itself that one place borrowed directly from another. The tree folklore of all of Northern Europe is very similar in many respects, as we shall see. Given its connection with livestock and fire, it is not surprising that Rowan should be particularly associated with the month of May. In ancient Ireland at this time, livestock were driven between twin fires to keep away evil influences. Idir na gá hinne Bealtaine, between the two fires of Bealtaine or May. Homes, crops, and cattle were believed to be particularly at risk on May Eve. The first smoke from a chimney on May morning should be from a fire of Rowan, in order to thwart any mischief that witches might be planning. A piece of mountain ash was put in the crops, and cattle going out that morning were struck with a switch of the wood. On May Eve, a loop of Rowan was put on the tails of livestock, especially cows, to protect them from the F word. Alternatively, red rags or thread were used. Rowan was a favourite for use as May boughs. On May Eve, sprigs were put on windowsills and doorsteps and roofs, and could also be set up in fields and farmyards for protection. In the Isle of Man, twigs of Rowan were also set up around the house on May Eve. In Scotland on May Eve, sheep and lambs were made to pass through a hoop of Rowan. However, Rowan was also associated with other times of the year. In Scotland, sprigs of Rowan were burnt on the doorsteps of the byre on the first day of the quarter, on Bealtaine and Hallowmas, and bannocks were toasted on a fire of Rowan wood on St. Michael's Eve and the feast day of Mary, which is the 15th of August. By the way, Hallowmas is another word for, it's All Saints' Day, isn't it? Yes, All Saints' Day, which I think in the Catholic calendar is the first day of November, and All Souls then is the second, if I'm not mistaken. Hallowmas, is that right? Hallowmas being All Saints' Day on the 1st of November. Please correct me if I'm mistaken. Houses were also decked with Rowan on New Year's Day. In Wales, people wore Easter crosses made of the wood. Brendan Byrne says, if you could get it to burn. Yes, apparently Rowan is a little bit more difficult to get going as firewood. And now we're on to the legends and mythology associated with the Rowan tree. Rowan was also noted for its life-giving properties. The Pursuit of Diarmid and Grania features a famous Rowan called the Quicken tree of Duvros, whose berries had many virtues. The berries gave both the exhilaration of wine and the satisfaction of rich food. And no sickness or disease hit anyone who ate 3 of them. So Janet Moran says, you are correct, good memory. Is that in relation to Hallowmas? Yeah. It's a word I never heard of growing up. I had to look it up in more recent times. So life-giving were they, that if someone 100 years old tasted them, they would return at the age of 30. Samhain is approaching. We'll be doing an episode about, in fact, I think next week's episode is the closest, isn't it, to Samhain. Today is the 26th of October. Next Monday is the 2nd. Samhain is, what is it? Is it the 5th or the 6th? So possibly, I think there'll be enough material to do 2 episodes about Samhain. So perhaps the next 2 episodes of Live Irish Myths will be about Samhain. In the story, the tree is guarded by a one-eyed giant called the Sharván Lochlanach, or the surly Scandinavian? Peter O'Connor says, good morning all. Hello, Peter. Fáilte. Whom Diarmuid has to kill before he can fulfill Gráinne's request to get some of the berries. In the story, The Cattle Raid of Freach, Táinbó Freach, we read that over 2 episodes, didn't we? Ailill demands that Freach swim across the river and bring him back a branch from a rowan growing there, whose fruits were supposed to prolong life and heal illness. Just as a quick, Ger Moan, by the way, who is, Ger doesn't usually get to join the lives because Monday evening is busy for her, but she always catches up later in the week. Ger has compiled a list of Live Irish Myths episodes that we've done and was wondering how she could share it. I was going to suggest, Ger, that I can put that up on the Mythical Ireland website and refer people to it. But just quickly, I wanted to use your list to find out where we did Táinbó Freach. It wasn't that long ago, maybe about 10 or 15 episodes ago. Yeah, Táinbó Freach was episode 107 and 108. We had to do 2 episodes. So if you're new to Live Irish Myths, the very best way to find them is to go to the Mythical Ireland YouTube page, and there is a playlist there of all the episodes. You'll also find them here on Facebook under the videos, but you'll probably have to do more scrolling. They're not perhaps just as easy to find on Facebook. I believe that both trees in these tales, however, may actually have been cherry trees in the original versions. The Lays of Fionn make mention of the Rowan tree of Clonfert, under which the warrior Iollan stayed awake for 17 day-thirds, having taken but 1 draught of clear water and 5 berries of the Rowan. Cheryl Ann wants to see the book cover one more time. Irish Trees, Myths, Legends and Folklore by Niall McCutcher, Coitir, with original watercolours by Gráinne Langrishe. And that was published, I believe it's the Collins Press, yes. The Collins Press first published 2003. I'm not sure, 2003. I'm not sure if there's a reprint of that. Perhaps somebody who's got Google could have a look. Brendan says, Anthony mentioned that the Vikings used the bark as fodder feed. If so, that explains why the goats stripped the bark from my trees. Yes, indeed, Brendan. There you go. The animals find it edible. Bernadette McCarthy says, just bought it. Brilliant stuff. Excellent. You will not regret that one bit. It is fabulous. Another lay concerning the Coirthan Cos or Rye Rowan explicitly credits the red colour of the Rowan's berries with its power. The lay claims that one look at the colour of the berries would satisfy a person who had gone 9 days without food. It has been printed again, says Rowan. Brilliant stuff. Bernadette says, Amazon. Don't forget also, I always say, if you're looking to buy books, also consider abebooks.com or abebooks.co.uk. They're also brilliant. Yuvdawn's poem about the properties of different woods calls Rowan Feed na Droa, or the Druid's Tree, and it is not hard to see why. In the tale The Siege of Knocklong, Druids on both sides made immense fires of Rowan, cut and lit ritually and with incantations to put a sinister influence on the opposite side. Barbara says, oh boy, another book. Might just have to wait a while, as I was just about 3 of Andrew Lang's F-word books. Yeah. Look, the way it is that if you have space to store them, have them in your library as future browsing material. Do you really think I've read all of those? I haven't. I have to get round to it. The outcome of the battle was seen in the smoke and flames of the fire. Keating's History of Ireland tells how the Druids used the hides of sacrificial bulls stretched over a construction of rowan branches for the purposes of divination. The Book of Invasions, Laur Gawala Éireann, recounts how the Philistines used skewers of hazel and rowan to slay the demons fashioned by the Tuatha Danann by thrusting them behind their necks. Pardon me. Rowan Grove says bookfinder.com is a good place to search multiple sellers at once. Excellent suggestion, Rowan. In the tale, The House of the Quicken Trees, Fionn and his men are trapped through enchantment by an enemy in the house of that name. The metrical Dinshenachus also has a story in which a warrior named Yochi, which means rider, and Yochi, remember, is often the name of the king, set the head of the son of Conn of the 100 Battles on a spike of Rowan outside Tara. This led to his banishment into Leinster because this action was taboo. An ancient druidic ordeal for a woman clearing her name was to rub her tongue to a red-hot adze, which would be heated in a fire of rowan or blackthorn wood. Rowan's power could be used by witches. In the tale, The Wooing of Etain, refer to episodes 21 and 22, The Wooing of Etain Part 1 and The Wooing of Etain Parts 2 and 3. In the tale, The Wooing of Etain, Tochmark Etain, Etain's rival Fuamnach strikes Etain with a wand of scarlet rowan, turning her into a pool of water. In the lay known as the Headless Phantoms, Fionn and his men take shelter in a sinister house where a churl kills their horses and roasts them on spits of rowan. They are then attacked by 3 phantoms who seek to avenge the death of their sister. In the tale concerning Cuchulain's death, the hero is offered dog meat to eat by 3 hags who have been cooking it with charms on rods of rowan. It is taboo for Cuchulain to eat dog, but also taboo to refuse offered food. Bit of a conundrum there, huh? So he loses some of his strength in accepting the meal. An Irish tradition states that the first woman sprang from a mountain ash. One legend tells of how St. Patrick banished a fire-spitting monster called the Coirthonach, the Rowan tree monster. St. Patrick had pursued the monster from Croch Patrick, and she had quenched all the wells which she passed on the way. Interesting that the monster's feminine. St. Patrick, overcome with thirst, prays for water, the Hawk's Well in Sligo springs up beside him. Suitably refreshed, he is able to banish the monster with a single word. Anybody guess as to what the metaphor there is? The imagery suggested to me is the banishment of the ancient feminine-based religion by the new patriarchal religion, perhaps. Seasonal placing. We're nearly finished now. Rowan shares with St. Bridget an association with fire and the protection of livestock. So it is logical to link Rowan with her. St. Bridget of the Flame had a perpetual fire in Kildare, which was tended by Bridget and 19 nuns. And she was credited in tales with the power to multiply milk, butter, and bacon. 3 of my favourite foods, by the way. These attributes were undoubtedly transferred to the saint from the older goddess, thereby replacing Rowan with the Feast of Bridget at the start of spring in the tree calendar. The Rowan berries may also be still on the tree at this time of year, making it a more suitable choice than Maytime. Rowan is associated with the Ogham letter Luis, L-U-I-S, which means flame. In early Irish law, Rowan was classified as an Ahig Fedo, or the commoner of the wood. In medieval times, Rowan berries were used either as food or fermented into a drink resembling perry. Rowan wood is tough and was used for a variety of implements. So there you go. That is the wonderful Niall McCutcheon. Irish trees, myths, legends, and folklore. Fantastic stuff. One moment, please, while I find this. Yes, now let us briefly see, as was suggested by Sally Siggins earlier in the episode, if we can find out a little bit. So for instance, on the school's folklore collection, and remember this was collected in the 1930s, there are lots and lots and lots of stories about lots and lots of different things, and it is, of course, searchable. So I brought up here a little story that is called an old story. Where is this? Collected in Tyholland in County Monaghan. One night, a man was going by the Rowan tree at Corrachfinna, Silver Stream, when he heard something growling. He went over to the Rowan tree, and a voice said, "Grrr, grrr." He went closer, as you do when you're alone in the middle of the country at night and you approach a tree and it makes growling noises, like that horror movie where there's an empty corridor, loads of doors, and a creepy looking door at the bottom, and you're thinking, don't go there. And the first thing that happens is they go there. Now, there was a stream at the other side of the Rowan tree, but the man did not know this. The F word crossed to the other side of the stream, and the man ran after it. He fell into the deep stream, and he could hear something saying, "Take that, take that." He saved himself from getting drowned. He thought the voice must belong to a fairy, but he said nothing. The F word said, "Speak," and the man said, "Why?" and caught hold of it. It said, "Don't drown me." And the man got so scared that he dropped the F word into the stream, and it got drowned. But the man died before he got home, because there was bad luck in the F word. So there you go. A Rowan tree acting as a sort of a mystical boundary. Yes, I did. I said it twice. I know. I'm sorry. Tom King says, "Here's Johnny." I apologize. And here is a tradition from Balla Namrathnach, which is Welshtown, County Donegal. It is unlucky to make a cow's steak out of the Rowan tree. She would be hanged in the morning. Long ago, when a cow would calve, the people used to get the tops of the Rowan tree and mix them in her first drink and give it to her in the name of the Trinity. And that was told by Mr. John Key, a farmer of Meanagrave, Welshtown, age 50, and back in the 1930s. Fabulous. Superstitions, trees. Here we go. Here's one. Rowan tree is one of the many trees which is unlucky to cut. Nobody would cut a Rowan tree because it is a very gentle tree. It is also very unlucky to pull hawthorns, sign of a death. The blackthorn bush is a very gentle bush too, and it is very unlucky for the person who cuts it. The person who cuts a hazel tree is supposed to become bald during the night. So there you go. Don't cut down the Rowan tree, the whitethorn or hawthorn tree, the blackthorn tree, or the hazel tree. Just don't do it. The world needs more trees. Definitely not less of them. Yeah, so there seems to be lots of stories pertaining to... Let's have a look at this one, also from Donegal, Dristaran. There's a very strange-looking rowan tree growing a couple of fields away on the same farm near Grousehall. It is shaped like a lamppost. The leaves, branches and berries all grow on the top. In fact, it is called the lamppost by the residents. It never grows or spreads. Bernard remembers it since he was a little boy. He is now 30 years old. No one has ever ventured to pull even a leaf, for all the old people say it is gentle. Bernard used to pretend to his grandfather that he would pull a branch, but he always watched him very carefully, afraid he would go near it. So there you go, reverence. A century ago, or a little bit less than a century ago, reverence for the rowan tree. Don't touch it. Here we go, and here's another one. This pertains to the rowan tree is the best preservative against evil. Terry Lynn says, "Oh, the F's froze you, Anthony. I hope that the feed is still okay, because when I mention that word, it tends to go haywire." The rowan tree is the best preservative against evil if a branch be woven into the roof of the house. Wow. The house is safe for a year at least. And if mixed with the timber of a boat, no storm will upset it, and no man be drowned in it for the next 12 months. Brilliant stuff. Thank you, Sally, for the wonderful suggestion to go over to the schools collection. Available online at duchas.ie, duchas.ie. In olden times, and even yet, and this is from County Cavan, Banahoe, people believe in superstitions on May Day. Some people tie a piece of red rag and a twig of rowan tree to the cow's tail. They believe that it will keep other people from taking their milk and butter by witchcraft. And also, these people on May Day would throw out no water. Okay, so that seems to be the entirety of the talk about the rowan tree there. Some years ago, a family named Henrys lived in Ballyhealy, and this tale is from County Westmeath, Killaloch. They had a cow, and the woman of the house used to milk the cow and churn the cream of the milk. A few times she churned the cream, and no butter came from the churn. Came on the churn. She was getting annoyed about the milk and said she would tell someone about it. A little F word met the woman at the door and told her a neighbour of her son was taking the butter off the churn and she would have to go to Bonner Sheridan. She went to Bonner Sheridan and he told her to go home and put a handle of her churn made from the rowan tree, and that the person who was taking the butter would call for a drink of the buttermilk before she would have finished churning. The woman did what he told her, the woman did what he told her, and woman who was taking the butter called for a drink of buttermilk and said a F word told her the night before at the window all about it. The woman who was taking the butter had a magic spell. I'm just looking to see if there are any more plants. According to, hang on, which county is this from? This is from County Dublin, Fribsborough. The rowan tree, or the mountain ash, the bright orange-coloured rowans, were always treasured by girls for making necklaces. Little girls love to decorate themselves with a chain of rowan berries. So there you go. Fantastic stuff. What time are we on? We're just over the hour. So perhaps I will share that as a link so you can go and have a look at all of the mentions of rowan tree in the school's folklore collection. So just to briefly explain what that is, in the early years of the government of the Free State of Ireland, it didn't have much money. There was a realization in the aftermath of the famine, and with all of the continuous emigration from Ireland, and with the decline of native Irish speakers, and with the decline of the oral tradition, that if there wasn't an effort made to collect a lot of this folklore, and that, by the way, included stories, poems, songs, music, etc., sheet music even, that a lot of it would be lost to time with emigration and everything else that was happening. And so the Folklore Commission wanted to collect as much material as possible. And one of the ingenious things that they did, they sent their own collectors out into the landscape. And we will do more about the Folklore Commission, and we'll do more about the school's folklore and the collections. Absolutely, there's loads of material there. But one of the things that they did was they decided to send manuscripts to a lot of the primary schools in Ireland as a means of saying, well, look, we don't have enough people, we don't have enough boots on the ground to go and collect these stories from all around the country. So we will send out manuscripts, hardback books to the schools, and we will ask the children to interview their elderly parents / neighbours / relatives, friends, etc. About various topics. And a list of these suggested topics was proposed by the Folklore Commission. They fell under different headings, traditions, cures, place names, field names, etc., etc., etc. And there was built up, I think, a total collection of about Am I right? I think it runs to at least 500,000 manuscript pages, 500,000 pages of material. In recent years, an effort has been made to digitize those. I think they're very well advanced with that. So that's duchas.ie, the website that I shared there. But in addition to that, volunteers are now going through the scanned handwritten versions and typing them so that the text is searchable, which is a brilliant, wonderful, wonderful undertaking, making life so much easier. 20 years ago, when I was researching for Island of the Setting Sun with Richard Moore, in order to access this material, I had to go down to the local library in Drogheda. I had to ask them to retrieve the microfiche from the microfilm from the county library in Dundalk. I had to wait a couple of days, a day or two, go back to my local library, and then use the microfiche or the microfilm reader and scan through pages and pages and pages and pages and pages of material to try and find the bits and pieces that I was looking for. So the fact that it's all online now at duchas.ie is a wonderful, fabulous service. And don't forget, as I said, so many volunteers help to make that happen. These are people who love Irish mythology and folklore and who are not getting paid for helping this material to be archived in a proper and searchable way. Anyway, that's tonight's episode. I hope you enjoyed yourselves. Join us during the week where there'll be at least one episode of Book Talk. We're in lockdown now anyway, so I propose I probably will do more episodes. Live Irish Myths, I may do another episode this week, but we'll see. And I certainly will next Monday. I do intend to get round to talking about Samhain, because it's that time of year. We are on the threshold of winter time. If you are up on the westernmost of the hills of Lough Crew, Carnban, and if you were standing at the doorway of Cairn L, or indeed if you were lucky enough to get a key and be inside, which is virtually impossible, over the next number of mornings, you will watch as the sunrise progressively moves across the chamber, lights up a slender pillar stone made out of limestone, and casts light onto this wonderfully decorated stone in the chamber before being cut off at Samhain, which announces the beginning of winter. So we definitely will. If I can, I'll do more. I'll do another live from somewhere out in the landscape. Can't go further than 5 kilometers. So that's I'm fairly restricted in where I can go. Douth is one of the places that I can go, which is brilliant. In the meantime, don't forget to pre-order your calendar. Absolutely, if you haven't done so. And thank you for your orders. If you're on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe to the Mythical Ireland channel. If you're on Facebook and you're not already a member, head on over to the Mythical Ireland community and join us there, where our community is heading rapidly towards the 10,000 members mark. In the meantime, do your very best to stay safe and well. Stay out of trouble and stay warm if you're in the cold climates, and stay cool if you're in the warm climates. And especially with everything that's going on with COVID-19, remember to keep washing your hands and use hand sanitizer, show social distancing, sneeze and cough etiquette into the crook of your elbow. Robin Rickman says, I ordered mine tonight. Brilliant stuff, Robin. Thank you for that. And until next time, which will be hopefully sooner rather than later, Colosov, sound sleep, slán go foil, bye for now. August Tog go bogey. Take it easy. I'm Anthony Murphy. This has been Live Irish Myths. It's been a great pleasure. Peace and love to you all, says Jules Cousins, and I couldn't agree more. Slán.